Behind is more than a standard we all live up to. It is a way of life. It is part of our mission. If you or someone you know finds themselves struggling with their mental health, please contact the Suicide and Crisis Lifeline by dialing 988 on your mobile phone or text 838 255 to speak or chat with a qualified counselor. Hey, friends! Boots, how are you?
I'm good. I'm home. How are you, Hitch?
I'm doing awesome. I mean, I can't even say is it May yet. May came and went.
I know.
It went. It went by so fast.
Well,
But
remember, every day is May.
yes, every day is May
Yeah, when
for
you're part of the
sure.
Run for the Wall family, every day is May. So,
It is. But I'm glad you made it home safely. You
yes,
know,
barely.
I was fortunate to be home once we pulled in.
I know.
I think a few people asked like, "Hey, like where are you staying?" I was like, "At my house."
That's right. I
At my
know
house.
that is. It's such an interesting experience because, like, for so many people who live on the East Coast, by the time we're in Ontario, I just left home, and they've been gone for a week. And then when we get to
Mhm.
DC, I mean, you're home, and I've
I'm
got
home.
I've got a whole 3,000-mile journey in front of me to get home.
Yep.
So
And I mean, pulling into DC, like that's home for people who don't know. I was born and raised in DC, so
yep,
I'm home.
yeah,
But for those of you who do not know yet what Run for the Wall is, Run for the Wall, dear to my heart, is the largest, oldest, and longest cross country motorcycle run in support of veterans and promoting healing and raising awareness for those who are POWs, KIA, and still MIA.
yeah.
We're just here on the podcast to just continue raising awareness for that mission and to put out information, on how to be a part of the run, how to continue the run, tips and not tricks, but tips on the run.
Well, yeah, there's some tricks too. We can work that in, but the main point is that here we are. I've been home for about 2 weeks,
Mhm.
and the run was fantastic. There were highs and lows, and we could talk
Yeah.
about that. And the thing that a lot of riders don't understand is that we are already planning Run for the Wall 36.
6.
Yeah, for next year. It's
Yeah.
already in the works. There's a lot of phone calls. I'm
Mhm.
already, in the role that I serve on the central route, I'm already making calls and getting things organized and getting ready for next year's run. So
Yeah,
it's
and we'll be meeting soon with the new RCs and ARCs and
yep,
yeah, for next one's leadership.
yep. Forming teams. We got to get people for all the routes, for Midway, for Sandbox, for Southern Route, for Central Route. We're going to need tail gunners and assistant platoon leaders and outreach and ambassadors and staging team members, fueling team members, hydration team members, road guards. I know that the Southern Route
Mhm.
is looking for road guards. I think probably all
Yeah, they
routes.
posted.
Yeah, probably all routes are looking for road guards. So
Yeah.
if you want to volunteer for any position, some of the positions have more stringent requirements than others. For instance,
Mhm.
ambassadors have some very particular requirements. Road guards, you have to really be at the top of your game in terms of your riding abilities.
Writing skills, right.
Yeah, and you have to have a certain mentality. We call it the it. You have to have it to be a road guard. and we could talk more about that later. But
Mhm.
if you are interested in volunteering in any capacity on Run for the Wall, there is a process. So if you go to the Run for the Wall website, which is at rftw.us, you will
Yes,
see a
yes.
volunteer sign up, and that's on each of the route submenus. There are links associated with each route right on the homepage. If you scroll down just a little bit, you'll see a volunteer sign up form. Fill out that form, and as soon as you submit that form, it goes to, like, for instance, if you submit it on the Midway route, it's going to go to people on the Midway route who will then
Mhm.
connect you with, let's say you wanted to be a fuel team member. It will connect
Mhm.
you with the fuel team lead, and then that person who's in that position can contact you and do, it's sort of just an informal interview to make sure, where you are and that it would be a good fit for the team. So anyways, yeah, we've got lots of positions for lots of volunteers, and
And
this is the
most
time to do it.
important position, it's still open, right?
Which,
The treasurer position.
well, that's on the board of directors, and yes, that position
It's still
is,
a volunteer position.
it is a volunteer position, and sometimes it's a little thankless. It does take a certain amount of time to serve on board of directors because we have monthly meetings, usually twice a month now,
Mhm,
on
mhm.
the executive board. And also for the position of treasurer, you got to be pretty good with the maths, as they say. Um,
Not my ministry. Stay where I am.
I, I can do it. It's not my favorite thing to
Right.
do. So yeah, we'll just leave it at that. I do know that having known, I know, well, the current treasurer, Bob Nelson, who's stepping off
Mhm,
the board. He's served his term, and Jenny Ward, and then Ken Ward. Those are the last three treasurers. I know how much time they all put into it, and it can be a difficult position because you're dealing with money and numbers. And Run for the
right.
Wall Incorporated is a 501c3 nonprofit, and we have
Mhm.
a lot of accounting to do for all four routes,
4.
and and then the monthly reports and making sure that all the numbers add up. It's a very, very important and sometimes challenging task. Plus, there's the regular items that come before the board and the
Mhm.
challenges. But it's a fun thing to do, and if you love Run for the Wall and you love our mission, let us know because we do need to fill that position.
Yep. I just heard from Jenny, I think that was yesterday. She's still working. Like, she's still on Central, like, she's still
Always, yeah.
doing the things. But, in addition to those updates and, events, what do we have, or those news and events. Meetups, now that we are back, just trying to stay engaged in our Run for the Wall community, you can definitely link up with your local RFTW meetup groups. And if there's not one near you, we always encourage someone to take the lead and start that up. You can find that information on the website as well. So that's in the forum, right?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, so head over to, is it RFPW, like, forum?
The forum is at
Oh, forum.
forum.rftw.us.
Okay. Yeah, so head over there and find out where those meetups are so that we can all continue to stay connected. Because I think, what is the countdown at for Kickstands Up? Because you've already updated the website. It's like 390 something day. No, I'm
It's
joking.
no
I'm joking.
300,
Joking.
336 days, 1 hour, and 36 minutes.
Yeah. So
But who's
stay
counting?
engaged.
I am.
All of us,
Right.
all of us are counting, literally, because we're ready. All right. So those are meetups. What about the Angel Fire reunion?
Yeah, the Angel Fire reunion is that's in Angel Fire, New Mexico, which is
Mhm.
a stop on the Central Route. And the reunion is on Labor Day weekend, which is actually August 30th through September 1st of this year.
Okay.
And I sadly have never been, and I really, really want to go. I got to talk to my wife Kelly about that and hopefully make it happen this year. I really, really want to go.
Right. I started looking at the logistics of going a couple of weeks ago because I've been again home since the beginning, and I'm like, let me research the reunion and see where I could fly into. But I want to convince Diego to come and check it out as well. And it's over a long weekend, so it should be logistically easier as far as not
So
having
here's an idea, Hitch.
what's up.
You and Diego could fly into Phoenix, rent a couple of bikes, and we could ride to New Mexico from here.
Valor would love that, I'm sure.
She can ride on the back of my bike.
Listen, she talks about my motorcycle friends, the entire run. Aw, where did my motorcycle friends go? Girl, we're right behind them. We're following them. And I want to stay at the motorcycle hotel. We're staying at the motorcycle hotel every night, friend. Like every night.
Yep.
So, yes, Angel Fire reunion, Labor Day weekend. I've never been, hoping to go because I don't know, that memorial is just so
It's
like
amazing.
it's near and dear to my heart just because of the history of it. So, I mean, I believe we've talked about it here before, but for those of you who may have missed that episode or don't know, like the doctor who owned the land, they were planning to build a ski resort on the property because Angel Fire, New Mexico, like it's a resort town. So they were planning on building a ski resort there. Their son went to Vietnam and was unfortunately killed, and instead they turned the property into a memorial. And it is just breathtaking
It
to
really is
not
amazing.
see to not see condos and ski lifts and whatever. It's just like not as far as the eye can see, but a lot of acres, okay? And it's beautiful.
Yeah, and it's technically called the David Westfall Veterans Memorial.
Okay.
And the ceremony that we did this year, because it is a stop on the Central Route, was so
Mhm.
moving. We laid a couple of bricks in memory of some fallen soldiers who are actually friends of one of the riders on Central Route, and it was very, very moving. And it's such a spiritual place just to be there in Angel Fire. I would encourage everybody from any route to take a look into that and check it out. We'll get some more information on hotels and accommodations and a schedule, and we'll put that
Mhm.
up on a coming episode of the podcast.
We will. And also, I do have footage of that ceremony, so I will get that posted. Right now, I'm still posting news footage, like all of the news clips that I found from 2025 from all the routes. So I'm still working on getting all those posted. I post like one a day. That way, kind of stretch it out.
Yeah.
Um, but for those of you who are not familiar with like the brick ceremonies, Angel Fire, like going around the memorial, the sidewalks, they're bricks, and each brick has the name, branch of service, and I believe dates of service. Yeah,
Yep.
and dates of service that can be laid. So, I mean, for your loved ones who are no longer with us, you can get a brick. I think they do unit bricks. I was thinking about getting bricks for, Diego and myself because why not? Like, you don't have to be deceased in order to have a brick. Like, you can get bricks, and they do that on the website. You can order them on the website.
Yep.
So, yeah, definitely want to put that info out there. So, right now, did you have anything else about Angel Fire?
Nope.
Okay. So, right now, I posted a video, and the big push is like AARs, AARs, AARs. Like, we want to hear your voices. Everyone's voice is important. We are reading each and every one every day
Every
as
day.
they come through. Like, I'm reading each one. I'm making my notes for our upcoming meetings to bring up either the positives that you all have brought to light, and it's like, hey, keep this, get rid of this, tweak this. Like, I'm making notes that way. We can ensure that they're being discussed in our upcoming meetings. Some of them are like, hey, this exit or this hotel is great, this hotel not so great. Can we remove it from from the recommendations? So like this is the stuff that we want to hear. And I just really want to encourage each and every one of you to let your voice be heard. We want to hear it, whether you're an F and G to an RC. Like, I mean, we've had board members, I think,
Oh
submit.
yeah, absolutely.
submit.
Well,
So
remember, as soon as the kickstands go up, board members are kind of like, we're just, whatever you're
everybody
doing
else.
on the run, you really need to, you're on the run, you're in that position. So if
Mhm.
you're a board member and you're a assistant platoon leader, then as soon as the kickstands go up, you report, chain of command, you report to the platoon leader, reports to the RC. And that's kind of the way it is, because the board is kind of the steering function, but the operations of each route are in the hands of the route coordinator. And
Mhm.
so, anyways, I don't want to get off on a tangent there, but the point of this is, after action reports are a way to communicate not only to the route coordinator and the upcoming route coordinator, last year's ARC,
Mhm.
what happened on the run, but also to the board of directors, because ultimately the route coordinators do report to the board of directors. But we want to hear the good, the bad, and the ugly, so that we can
Mhm.
continue to shape the run for the wall and make it better, and just fine tune the little things about the run that need to be fine tuned. And number one
Yep.
is safety, and we don't always have the perspective of a pack rider or a tail gunner or a staging or fuel team member if all I'm doing on the run is road guard stuff. And it's really important for me to get that perspective. And in many of
Mhm.
the after action reports that have already been submitted from this run that we just finished, I've learned quite a few things, and I'm making my notes
Mm.
too, so that I can adjust what I do on the run to make it a better experience for everybody, and a safer experience for everyone.
Well said. Like, bottom line, you all make the wheels go round on Run for the Wall. So I have to hear from you to make this an experience that you all want to continue.
Yeah.
All right, up next,
Summer break.
summer break for the podcast. Okay. So this will be sort of like the season finale, if you will, of season 1 of the Run for the Wall podcast. It's been real. I had an absolute blast like the entire time. So I got to Ontario a week early. Okay. You know, reason being, I have old military buddies out there. I have coworkers because I work for the VA in California. I'm a remote employee, but I have coworkers out there that I wanted to visit. I wanted to visit the facility that I actually work for. So I went out like 7 days before Kick stands up and had a lot of fun doing things. But every time I ran into someone, like, you all just like outpoured the entire time, like, hey, thanks for the podcast, I watched the podcast, I've seen every episode. Yeah, I watched one episode, that was enough for me, but cool. You know what I mean, which is fine. But a lot of you came up to me just saying, hey, saw the episodes, saw the podcast, hey, I watched, thanks for the tips, especially the F&Gs. And that's why we're here. That's why we're doing this. And it was from the time I got to California all the way through the run, at our stops as we were picking up F&Gs. And even once we made it into Springfield, I got a coin. I got a Buffalo Soldier coin, Boots. I was
Nice.
but but yeah, so we will continue to do this as long as it's something that you all feel you want and need to hear. We'll take a break, July, definitely July. We'll pick back up sometime in August.
Yeah, that sounds good. We can make a little announcement later. We'll be back in August.
Mhm,
We just need to, we're gonna kind of retool a little bit, maybe adjust the
mhm.
format, come up with some new guests. And if you have any suggestions, let us know. Pod
I
at
do have a couple.
rftw.us. So
Yep, I have a couple. I do have at least 2 suggestions for guests. And so like we're always looking for guests, even if you already saw an episode, like, we had ambassadors on, but those ambassadors were from Central. Like, hey, Midway, Southern, Sandbox, like, let's hear from you all's ambassadors or outreach teams because, I mean, the mission is the same, but you go to different places, talk to different people, and we want to be able to hear about it all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'd actually like to get an FNG as a guest, someone who did the run for the very first time this past run. If you're an FNG out there and you're listening, shoot me an email at pod@rftw.us. That goes to both Hitch and I. And let us know if you're interested, and we will get you scheduled, because I'd really like to hear a perspective from an FNG on any one of the 4 routes.
Oh, you know what would be really cool? A perspective FNG as well.
Oh yeah.
And then we can get a before and after.
That's a great idea. Okay,
I'm full of ideas.
Yes, this is good.
All right. So in addition to that, when we were in Ontario, I started to walk around and ask people, sort of like a mini interview. I would ask people, what's your name? Where are you from? When was your FNG year? What routes have you done? And then I would get them to answer any question that we generally ask people on the podcast, our guests, right? Why do you ride? Who do you ride for?
How did you get your road name?
Best experience, or how did you get your road name? But so that kind of transition. So usually I'd ask one of the other questions, and I have a lot of those recorded. But if I was not able to get to you all, like I know I got a chunk of Midway because they leave a day before and I was out there and able to ask. And then after that, it was like just Central. So sorry, Southern, but I would like to hear these things from all of you. So I'll probably post on our social media accounts for this as well. But just make a quick video, a selfie, or have someone record you like, hi, my name is Hitch. My F&G year was 2018. I've been on I was going to say Southern route, and that's not even true. I've been on the Central route, and I ride for. We're actually going to get into that in a little bit, but this is why I ride or who I ride for. That way, I can post those, and other people who aren't already affiliated with Run for the Wall, they can get an understanding of who we are. Especially that where you're from piece, they may assume that only people in California ride with us or what have you. And they'll see we have people from Alaska and Hawaii who come and do the run. So yes, I will be asking for those. But then that kind of transitioned into me just walking around asking people, what's your road name and how'd you get it? Because I just thought that would also be fun and engaging for people to see once I start posting those as well. FaceTime and Bones, if you all are listening, for some reason, when I did your videos, the sound was not on. So I don't have that footage. Everyone else is good, but FaceTime and Bones, I'll probably just do a funny voiceover. So basically what he was saying here was, but yeah. And the last thing that we have for news and events, subscribe to the YouTube channel, please.
Oh, yeah.
I know we talked about that. We are up 1 subscriber there. We're actually up a handful on, I think, TikTok it is, since I've been posting there since the run. So we're moving up in numbers, but YouTube.
When you subscribe, it really helps this podcast, not only from a getting found point of view, but also once we reach a critical level of subscribers, then 1,000, then the podcast is monetized. And that's really good because then Run for the Wall is actually receiving some funds for this, which again is going to help further our mission. We don't get anything for it. It's just a matter of production costs, and these microphones, they don't give these away. So
that's true.
Yeah.
But yeah, so subscribe to the YouTube channel. We're about 430-ish people away from hitting that magic number. We already have the amount of views that we need. Like, you all are watching
Yeah.
a lot. So if you could just go in and subscribe, that would be awesome.
Yeah, for sure.
All right.
So, why we ride?
Yeah.
Hitch. We're
Why
gonna
we
change it
ride.
up. We're gonna have Hitch read this. I'll share
Okay.
my screen here. Hang on a second. Here we go.
There we go. So, Antoine L. Walker, branch, U.S. Army, rank sergeant, date of birth, May 29th, 1982, date of casualty, May 18th, 2005, from Tampa, Florida. He is on the Middle Eastern Conflicts Memorial Wall, panel 5A, row 16. Antoine was assigned to the 2nd Forward Support Battalion, 2nd Infantry Division, Fort Carson, Colorado. Killed May 18th when his camp was attacked by enemy forces using indirect fire in Ramadi, or Ramadi, Iraq. Sergeant Antoine Walker was excited about coming home from Iraq to celebrate his 23rd birthday with his family and friends. Also known as Twan, he joined the Army in 2000 to earn money for college and was very ambitious. Walker, who was based out of Fort Stewart, Georgia, had been in Iraq for about a year. Walker called his family often, but didn't want to talk about war. Instead, he talked about starting a real estate career and his 3 children. He had raised them alone after his divorce. Walker's family helped while he was overseas. He was a good dad, Pringle said. All he wanted to do was make a good life for his kids. But last month, Walker wanted to talk about the fighting. He told his mother 5 soldiers he was traveling with were killed. Walker's phone calls became more frequent after that. Pringle said she had days when she couldn't eat or sleep because of her worries, but she never forgot to give her son support. I always told him, I'm proud and be safe. Pringle said Walker's 2-year-old twins are too young to understand their father's death, but his 4-year-old daughter knows he isn't coming home. His family still plans to throw a party on May 29th to celebrate his birthday. It is not the worst thing to die in war. It is not the worst thing to be missing in war. The worst thing is to be forgotten in war. Say their names, tell their stories, never forget.
Thanks, Hitch. Now, you knew
You're
Antoine.
welcome.
You knew
I
him.
did. Yeah, I knew him. We were deployed together in Iraq. So some of the things that are written. So I'm guessing he was stationed at Fort Stewart, Georgia, prior to going to Korea, because we all deployed with 2nd Infantry Division from Korea, and then after Korea, we were sent to Fort Carson. But yeah, I knew him, worked with him daily. We actually met in Iraq.
Wow.
Yep. So we worked daily. He was a friend of mine, and he is my, like, who I ride for and why do I ride. What I did not realize, I've been putting off giving you this bio for almost a year, and I'll tell you how it came up. So, when we started the podcast, I was like, oh, let me look up Twan, and I looked him up, and I did not realize that when we're on the run is when he became a casualty.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't realize that, and that his birthday was basically Memorial weekend. So I have him in my heart always, and he's my who I ride for, why I ride. We make it to the wall, Saturday morning. And I have my 3-year-old with me, so she's exploring. She's out, she's doing her thing and looking at stuff. So she sees this big shiny flag, and I let her go look at it, and I'm like, "Oh, that's cool." I get a little closer, and I see that they're ID tags or dog tags.
Yep.
I'm like, "Oh, that's interesting." I get a little closer, and I see they have names on them, and I'm like, "What is this? Because I've never seen it before. So I go over to the stand and I'm like, okay, GWAP Memorial. And it's made out of like 7,000 dog tags. I said, I wonder if Twan is here. So I go back and I try to look like by date. I think I was trying to look by date, didn't see it. Go back, read the instructions, and I'm like, okay, it's in alphabetical order. So I'll go back and I'm like, okay, W's, okay. Oh man, I'm getting closer. And I found him. And this is one of the reasons I wanted to go to the Middle Eastern conflicts wall, because I wanted to see his name on the wall. And so I find him and I sit there on the ground, 3-year-old behind me. So, I don't break down, because then I'll have to explain, why are you crying? And so, I did, I shed a tear or two, took a couple of pictures of it, and then moved on to the Vietnam Wall. But yeah, that was something. But that was my friend. And I just remember being in Ramadi, and I showed up, to his job, because we all worked like maintenance. And so I was supply, but I worked maintenance. So when my vehicles would have to go to third shop to be fixed, that's where he worked.
Mm-hmm.
So I'd go over almost every day, because something was almost always broken. And, I'd hang out over there for a while. So I show up one day and I'm like, what are y'all doing at the front desk? Don't you have vehicles to work on? Where's Twan? Like, where's Walker? And they're looking at each other like, who's gonna tell her? And I'm like, oh, why are y'all playing around? Like, where's my friend? And they were like, remember yesterday when we got attacked? And I'm like, he got hit and didn't make it. So, yeah. But just, say their names, never forget.
That's right. And that's why we ride. We're riding for Antoine. So I've got this printed out, like all the other bios that we've read on the podcast. And this is going to be one of the bios that I'll be carrying next year on Run for the Wall. So, every morning I pull these bios out, I take a look at them, and just say their names, and remember that these are real people who had real families and real jobs and real hopes and dreams. And they put their butts on the line so that we can live in freedom. And we can never, ever forget that. Freedom is not free. It costs dearly. And for Antoine Walker, boy, he had his whole life ahead of him, 22 years old, just shy of his 23rd birthday. So thank you for your service, and hope that his family, his daughters, boy, they're in their 20s now? Yeah.
Those 3 kids, yeah.
I hope they're doing great. I really do.
Thanks, Boots. All right, customs and traditions. This episode, we're going to talk about the group photo. The group photo that we take down at the memorial. And one of the reasons I wanted to talk about it is because I know, a lot of us were there. We read the AARs. We know that some people weren't able to make it. So, if you're watching the podcast, yes, and you wrote to us about the group photo, we will be discussing some of those logistics. But yeah, the custom and tradition of the group photo, Boots.
Yeah, so every year when the 3 coast-to-coast routes pull into Washington, D.C., obviously we can't end at the Vietnam Veterans Memorial Wall, which is right next to the Lincoln Memorial and the reflection pool in the Washington Monument. For obvious reasons, logistics.
It's a Friday in D.C. during rush hour.
So we end
the biggest one.
We end at the Legion in Springfield, Virginia, which is about 10 miles from where the Vietnam Veterans Memorial Wall is, and then all 3 routes end on Friday, and then on Saturday of Memorial Weekend, everybody goes to the Lincoln Memorial, and we gather in front of the Lincoln Memorial. Now, we used to take the picture on the steps of the Lincoln Memorial, facing the Lincoln Memorial, But
No, facing
since
away from the Lincoln Memorial, facing the monument.
Well, we do that now, but we used to do it on the steps. We can't do that. We can't do the picture on the steps anymore because the Lincoln Memorial is under
Yeah.
construction currently, and I don't know that we'll be allowed to do that again because we have to get a permit to take the picture there every year, and the permit comes with very specific restrictions. So this year we did the picture on Saturday morning. I think it was about 8:30 or 9 o'clock, something like that.
Somewhere
Always,
around
yeah, always check the itinerary. And we took the picture facing away from the Lincoln Memorial, so the picture
there.
was towards the Washington Monument and the reflection pool.
Reflection pool.
So that that is the tradition to gather there, and then normally right after we take the group picture of all routes, all 4 routes. So people who've just completed any one of the 3 coast to coast routes and anyone who's about to go on the sandbox route, all riders gather and take the photo there. And then immediately following that, the riders walk over to the Vietnam Veterans Memorial Wall and walk the wall, and then have some time to reflect and remember all of the men and women who gave their last full measure of courage for our country, who are memorialized on that wall. And there's other things to do in the DC area at that time. But, you know, this is the tradition. A lot of people ride over there. Parking is a little bit difficult. I've actually Ubered over there many times. This year I rode because I had to escort the FNGs who were going to ANC after that. Anyways, but it's a great time. It's a really neat thing. I haven't seen the pictures yet. I know they're forthcoming, but they'll be on the website soon, and you can download a copy of that.
Yeah, there have been like some unofficial ones sort of floating around, but like the official photo has not come up yet.
Yep.
Yeah. So that was pretty cool. The weather, speaking of cool, the weather was very kind to us.
Oh, was it
It
ever?
is usually blazing out there, and my recommendation would be bring water because people are usually out there selling it or something, but it's usually so hot. But it wasn't bad this year.
No,
So
it was very pleasant. It was it was super nice.
yeah.
The weather, not only during the run but also on the way home, we got lucky there.
All right. Sponsors, we kind of skipped that. How did we do with Amsoil? Did a lot of people come to get Amsoil products? Do you know?
That's a great question, and I was so busy doing what I do during the run that I don't even know that I went to the merchandise trailer once because I was that busy. So I don't know an answer to that, but I do know that Amsoil supplied a lot of products, as we've mentioned on the show. They've got a great product. I use Amsoil, highly recommend it. And I'll have to check with our merchandise director and see how we did with the Amsoil. So, but we have support from so many people. The American Legion Post 176 in Springfield, Virginia. Boy, they went all out. It was such an amazing place to end the run. That I thought it worked out great. It wasn't perfect. We did get some AARs with some suggestions here and there on that. My personal experience was fantastic. They had stuff set up in the parking lot. They had a mobile cigar lounge, and you know me, I like my cigars.
Which I accused you of ordering. I was like, Boots,
I had nothing to do with it.
I was like, did you order a cigar lounge?
In fact, we pulled into that parking garage, and the first thing I did, I hopped off my bike, took off my helmet, shut everything down, reached into my tour pack, and lit a cigar. I was like, I need to just wind down here.
At this point, did you know there was a cigar?
I didn't.
Okay.
I'd heard from Ed that there was going to be some cigar something there. I didn't know what it was, but it was actually really cool. I bought a couple of cigars from him. One of them was fantastic, and I just ordered a box. It was that good. So
one of my neighbors, my next door neighbor, actually, for her husband's 50th birthday, she rented one of those trucks, and it was parked right out front. And the guys had a time.
Yeah,
they had a time.
Yeah.
But I think, I mean, overall, I liked Springfield. Being from the area, just the size of the parking lot alone over the hotel parking lot before, and being sort of in a downtown area. I mean, logistically, and with the parking garage, I mean, I know some people did not fancy the parking
Some
garage,
people didn't like it. I
but
personally thought it was great.
space wise, we had so much space to where everyone could actually be there
We
at the
did.
same
And
time if we wanted to.
the one of the things I loved about the location in Springfield is that we had so many options, unlike where
Mhm.
we used to end. We had so many options for food.
Yeah.
There's just so many restaurants all in that location there. We found a really nice Mexican place. I
Mhm.
love Mexican food. And then there's everything else, you know, right in within walking distance, and all the hotels are very close by. So I thought it was a great venue. It was a great option. I know it was a big change, and I'm looking forward to going back there next year because I didn't even get to go to your favorite place that's always crowded. What's it called, Mike's?
I went.
Oh, you did.
I did.
I don't recall getting a phone call.
Oh, you because you were sitting at the cigar
Oh, okay. There
lounge
we go.
thing.
Uh huh.
You and FaceTime, and who else was over there with you? And was it John?
There were a bunch of people over there. So
Yeah.
yeah.
So yeah, you all were over there. Um, so let's get into some of our
All
experiences
right.
from the run. Now, I mean, I'm not trying to call you out or anything. I think John did at the beginning. No, was it John or Kirk? One of them. But I feel like you almost didn't make the run. You made it to California, but so you all we were in California. I
Yeah.
was in LA
Uh huh.
picking up a vehicle and about to go downtown LA to get tacos. I
Yep.
get a phone call saying, "Hey, I blew the transmission." That's what it was, right? The transmission.
Uh huh.
I blew the transmission on my bike. Can you come pick me up in Riverside? Mind you, Riverside is a good 30, 40 minutes from Ontario, depending on traffic.
Yep.
And I'm in LA, which is an hour from Ontario.
Yeah.
What
It
happened?
was a tough day. So I built a monster engine for my Harley, which was kind of, it's fun. I love it. I've got all these race bikes and, race experience, and I love tinkering with the bikes and seeing how far I can push them. But, for a touring bike, it to do something like that to a touring bike it's really not a good idea, especially a bike that you're going to ride on Run for the Wall. And I knew that the weak link was the transmission. And so here, a picture's worth 1,000 words, and a video is worth
Uh-oh.
even more, right? So if you're
Yeah.
watching on YouTube, I'll just share this right now. This
Okay.
is what happens when you build a 170 horsepower Harley Davidson touring bike with a stock transmission. This is what's left of the transmission. It was bad. It basically, I liquefied the transmission. It was fourth gear that let go. There's a picture of fourth gear, and there's no teeth on it. So it was complete and total destruction of the tranny. So I found a shop. I got to tell you that I'm going to mention them by name. Legends Harley Davidson here in Prescott, Arizona. They're actually in the town of Mayer. I called the owner there. He's become a friend of mine and helped me out in many, many ways. He said, "I've got you, buddy." He said, "Stay where you're at." He made some calls. This guy who owns a shop in Ventura called My Garage, Jimmy, at My Garage, he drove from Ventura down to Riverside, picked up my bike, took it back to Ventura. He picked the bike up at 4 o'clock on Sunday from Riverside Harley Davidson,
Mhm.
took it to his shop. He texted me that video and picture that night. And he said, "I will get this thing repaired for you by the end of the day on Tuesday so you can start the run on Wednesday morning." He said, "Even if I have to take parts out of one of the bikes I have in my shop, we'll get this fixed." So my brother drove me up to Ventura, which is about 2.5 hours from where I was staying in Los Angeles. My brother lives in
Mhm.
Los Angeles. He drove me and dropped me off up there. And those guys buttoned up my bike. We had to put in a whole new gear set and just about everything. We did it super fast, got it all the way put together, and the bike made it the whole run. I got home kind of barely because I had some other issues with the bike. Notice it's not in my garage right now. But anyways, yeah, made the run. And now the transmission's out of the bike again, and we're sending it out to be made bulletproof, doing some modifications there. Yeah.
All I knew was, okay, I need to hurry up and do what I'm doing here so that I can get to Boots.
Yep.
Like, Boots had my back, my effigy. I was like, I have to get there. And so my buddy that I was with, he was like, he's where? I was like, in Riverside. He
No,
was like, oh God.
I appreciate that. I was like at a total loss because,
Yeah.
when that transmission let go and I limped the bike into the dealership in Riverside, I was thinking my run was over. I was thinking, oh my gosh,
Right.
I'm going to let everyone down. I've got a lot of responsibility on the run and things to do. And I have like 15 guys from my hometown here in Prescott who are coming on the run. And I
Uh-huh.
didn't want to let them down, but it was a strange couple of days thinking that, oh my gosh, I'm not going to be able to do this. I
And then
was even looking at
even one
buying
of
a new
them had to,
motorcycle to
you
take on the
did.
run, but
You did. I remember you telling me that. But then even one of your buddies had to pull out. Was that in Williams maybe?
yes, in
That was my
fact,
buddy.
yeah, Bob Nagaloff. He lives here in Prescott, and they don't call Arizona the Grand Canyon State for nothing because we've got some Grand Canyon-sized potholes up on I-40. And Arizona, if you're listening to this, fix those for crying out loud. Sheesh. Anyways, Bob was running in the pack in platoon 5 and hit one of these potholes, and it bent his front wheel, and
Yeah.
immediately his tires started losing air. It was as we were coming into the gas stop in Kingman. He safely made it off the highway and into the gas station and had about 16 pounds of air left in that front wheel, but his ride was over. The local dealership didn't have none of the dealerships in Arizona because we called. I actually called Legends Harley Davidson in Mayer, Arizona. The general manager answered the phone. She said, I'll call around and see if there's a wheel. The only one she could find was on the East Coast, and they couldn't get it there overnight. So,
Eesh. Yeah.
anyways,
He was sure to find me that morning to say like, "Hey,
yeah.
it was real. I have to tap out here."
But
And
I saw
I
Bob.
thought,
I saw Bob yesterday, and his bike's
yeah.
fixed, and he's
Mhm.
already looking forward to next year coming back on the run. So, uh,
That's awesome.
yeah, this,
And I told him, I was like, "Well, if you were going to have to stop anywhere, at least we're in your home state."
yeah, yeah.
Like, so that worked out. And what do we say? One leg, one day, or all the way.
That's
Like
right.
you still made it. So,
That's right. So he came out on the run, and then he was riding with another friend here from Prescott, Dave Duncanson, and Dave came to Ontario with the intention of going all the way. And
mhm.
this is actually a pretty good tip. I hope Dave doesn't get mad for sharing it, but and this has happened to an RC before too. But Dave had to also pull out after Williams because he slipped in the shower in his hotel room and sprained his ankle. And if you recall, a few years ago, we had a central route. I think he was the he was the assistant route coordinator when it happened. We had an assistant route coordinator who slipped in the shower. I think it was also in Williams, and he hit his head. So that's sort of there's a tech tip in that. Be careful, when
No,
we're
that's not even the entire tip. Like if you are before you get into a hotel shower, take the towel that you usually put outside the shower, put that on the floor of the shower.
yeah,
It will make it not slippery.
yeah,
I mean, not non-slip, but like it,
yeah. You
put
can't
that.
be too
I mean, that's
careful.
what I do.
Yeah,
I always put that one in the shower and then just put a regular towel on the floor to step out onto.
yeah.
That's scary.
Yeah. But, Dave, I saw Dave also yesterday, and he's planning on coming on the run next year too and going all the way. So I hope both those guys come back and go all
Okay.
the way. So,
Well, that's your tie tip for the Your
There you go.
content for the day. Put that mat in there. I was on sort of my own adventure this year, being out with a 3-year-old. We had a couple of toddlers this year.
Yep.
I mean, I use the term loosely. I forget what so it must have been Southern route. They had a 4-year-old on their route. And then we had a 3-year-old on ours. So I would love to hear you, if you all are listening, or if you all know who that family is. Have them reach out to us, pod@rftw.us, because I want to hear what their experience was like with their tiny FNG. And then, maybe we'll do an episode that y'all probably won't care about, about Run for the Wall with these little people.
And there's so many stories from Run for the Wall,
Yeah, but I was definitely on my own adventure because I knew every day I either had to get this child to a playground or a hotel swimming pool to make our trip, not miserable. I had to make sure she got her time. So there were a lot of lunch stops that I missed and some dinner stops, because if there was a playground at the lunch stop, we would not eat. I would let her play the entire time.
Yeah.
And I would just make PB&J because I had a cooler and everything. I would make lunch in the truck and we were good. And then in the evenings, I'm like, okay, playground or swimming pool. And she would choose. And that was how we made it. And thank you for everyone who gave the wonderful compliments. They were she's really good. Like, she's not crying. She's not. The only time she would cry was in the mornings when I'm setting up the raffle rouser table, because I'd leave her in the car and she wanted to get out and be with me. But aside from that, yeah,
she did great.
Chill kid.
Yeah, I like it when I would say, "Hey, how far are we going, Valor?" And she'd say, "All the way."
Yeah, she caught on to that so quickly. So she wanted to do one of the interviews, and I'll post that as well. So I asked her the questions. The kid told me she lived in Ballet. Where do you live? Ballet. Okay. But when I got to how far are we going, she said all the way, and I lost it. That was the first time she'd said it, but she had caught on. We were in Junction City, Kansas, and I was like, oh. But yeah, I think another thing that really jumped out the boots on this run, because I know we only have so much time left to talk about our experiences. When we got ready to leave Raynell, and Pretty Boy gets up there and says, "Hey, I just got notification that the power is out in Lewisburg, so just enjoy your time here." And we're like, what does he mean? Like, the power is out in the whole town?
Yeah.
So we get there, and you guys, everything was out. I was like, okay, so no one has a generator. Like, the hotel's out, Walmart out, gas stations out. Like, no one had power.
They were checking us into the hotel, the Fairfield Inn in Lewisburg, with just paper and handing us flashlights.
Mm-hmm.
So I walked up the stairs with a flashlight, got into my room, because the doors they're battery operated. You put your card in, they let us in, and I had the flashlight in the room. Then put my stuff down, changed, and went back outside. But and then we all had to go. All the restaurants were closed.
I immediately called one of my friends, because her parents live there. And I was like, hey, they're telling us the power's out. So she said, calling my parents now. And she was like, yeah, the power is out. Their generator just kicked on. Do you want to stay there for the night? And I'm like, I'll let you know. So then we get there. I pull up to my hotel to see that it's next to a cemetery, which I don't do.
Ooh.
So I go inside and I'm like, I know this is probably not an odd request, but an inconvenient time to make it. But if my room is on the cemetery side, I need you to move that. And they must get this request all the time, because they were like, no problem. They switched my room. But, elevators were out, and they were like, well, try to make it so that you don't have to climb too many flights of stairs. And I was like, it's okay, because I'm able, save first floor for everyone else. I just cannot be on that side, especially if there's no power. I'm like, I probably would not have gotten any sleep.
But here's the cool thing is, in Lewisburg, for all these
Oh,
years in Lewisburg, we always just walk out to that one restaurant that's right
mhm.
behind the gas station, and it's not bad. I don't not like it. I like it. I was actually looking
Mhm.
forward to having dinner there that night, but because the power was out, you came and picked us all up in your SUV, and we drove all the way out to the airport, and we went to
The
that
only place with power.
unbelievably good Mexican restaurant out there. It was
Yeah,
so
only
good.
place open in town. We walk in, so we get to the parking lot. Parking lot's packed of the tiny little airport, and we walk in, and I guess everyone had the exact same
Yep.
idea.
Hmm.
So we go in there. We waited about 20 minutes, and then more run for the wall people came in, but the food was
It
unbelievable,
was
and like
awesome.
you said you love Mexican food.
I
It was a
do.
Mexican restaurant. That may be the new look, that may be the new,
I gotta tell you,
Lewisburg tradition.
it's so bad. I there's a Mexican restaurant here in Prescott that I go to a lot, but it's so bad that I went there for, I guess I got lunch there on Monday. I'm leaving, and they just look up at me and they say, "Well, we'll see you tomorrow." Like, okay, I'll see you tomorrow.
Yeah, it worked out. Valor was
Yeah.
happy that night. Um, but yeah, and so by the time we left, power was back on,
Yep,
like, the traffic lights and everything was back on, but that was yeah, that was one for the books. I'm
for
glad I was
sure.
able to to
Adapt,
get us
improvise,
all
and
there.
overcome, as they say, right?
Is what we did.
Yep.
The time was had. All right, let's jump into tech tips with Ted for this episode.
Yeah, don't slip in the shower.
No, that was Ty's tech tip.
Tech tips.
So,
Okay. So, yeah, we talked about what you should be doing post run.
wait, Boots, where's your bike?
My bike,
Yeah.
didn't I already say? Look, I got there's one right there, and there's one behind it, and there's another one behind that, and then there's one right there, and then I have a which bike are you talking about?
The orange one.
Amber.
Amber, yes.
So
Oh
she
gosh.
got me all the way across the country to Washington D.C., and then on the way back I started having a little bit of misfires, which turned out to be ethanol in the gasoline, actually. Because ethanol in motorcycles is a really bad idea. I wish they would
Okay.
take it out of the gasoline. But what happened was I filled up somewhere on the western side of Kansas, and there was so much ethanol in the fuel that caused the bike to start misfiring. I got some. I carry some octane boost, and that helped. But when Harley Davidson actually makes something called ethanol fix. When I put that in the tank, it solved that problem right away. But there were some other issues going on because,
I literally assumed it was from Amsoil.
yeah, well, the ethanol fix is a Harley product. You can get that at
Okay.
any Harley dealer. If you're having a misfire, try it. It cured that problem immediately. But I
Okay.
pulled into the garage right here where I'm sitting, and
Mhm.
got off my bike, went inside, said hi to my dogs and my wife, took a shower. I came back out, I looked on the floor, and there is coolant, just a big puddle of coolant below the bike. So what happened? That was an easy fix. The radiator hose on the right radiator on the ultra limited, it had just failed. It was old.
Mhm.
$10.75 part. It's
Oh,
very,
wow.
and it's 20 minutes to swap out. That's easy. But once I was home, had my earplugs out, and I started the bike to move it around, to clean it and everything, I heard a little bit of a sound. So I'm like, So I went down and I had the guy Tim, who owns Legends Harley Davidson, listen to it. And he said, well, I think it's definitely coming from the transmission. There are a few bearings that we didn't replace. Remember, I was on a time crunch, and so we did this field repair with the parts that we had, and so we did, and we used a stock gear set to replace the stock gear set. So we decided to pull the entire transmission out of the bike. We're sending it out to be back cut, shot peen, cryo treated, lightening the shift drum, putting in heavy duty shift forks and collars, and then we're going to put the whole thing back together with a billet Jim's billet side door. So that's going to make a transmission that is heavy duty enough to handle the power that's coming off of that engine. And then what I'm doing, because I got to tell you, the Central Route road guards were about to wring my neck because my bike is so loud. And the New Mexico State Police, Sergeant Plummer, was about to shoot me.
Listen, Valor was also about to wring your neck because your bike is so
Yeah,
loud,
I'm
okay?
sorry that I didn't realize it was going to be that loud. That bike is just ridiculously loud. So I got a new exhaust system coming. I'm putting in a Thunder Max, and we're going to retune it on the dyno. I'm going to pull some of the power out, see if I can make the bike more rideable. Because
Okay,
honestly, the bike is not really set up for run for the wall. And the last thing you need
okay.
is having wheel spin at 85, 90 miles an hour when you're trying to accelerate. Because sometimes you, as a road guard, you're called on to do some extraordinary things on the motorcycle, and you need a bike that's going to perform properly under you. And so if I can't pull enough power out with that Thunder Max, I'm gonna take the cam out and put in something a little milder, and also an exhaust system that is toned down quite a bit. But
Well,
it's all
I'm grateful
fixable.
that Amber got you there
Yeah.
and back home. Okay, you made
Yeah.
it all the way back home. Oh,
Yep.
and speaking of my tiny FNG, she renamed you.
Uh-oh.
I mean, it's still kind of. She calls you Bootsy.
Oh,
She's
well,
like, it's Bootsy.
yeah. She may have got that from FaceTime because he calls me Bootsy too. So I
Does
mean,
he?
yeah.
Yeah. It's Bootsy. But when I noticed your bike wasn't there, that's not what I was expecting to hear, especially ahead of the tech tips, which is like what we should be doing post run. Like we've taken our bikes. Well, y'all have taken your bikes on
So
this cross country
okay.
journey. So
So
what should happen post run?
here's the tech tip. So, and you don't have to, I get it. I am OCD. I am extreme. Most people don't spend as much time on their bikes as I do, but honestly, I love working on motorcycles as much as I love riding them.
Mhm.
And one of the things that is so important about after you get back from a long run is to clean your bike methodically and look for things that are missing, damaged, um, and just go around with a wrench as you're cleaning and make sure that bolts are tightened to spec. Many of the bolts have torque values, and you can, whether you're riding a Honda or a BMW or a Harley or an Indian, whatever make you're riding, they all are subject to road vibration, engine vibration, and just the gruel of going. I did 6,500 miles from here to California to DC and back. And so it's so important to do that, because the last thing you want to do is get on your bike and be going down the road and have a mechanical that could cause you to crash. So inspect the tires, inspect the brake pads, change all the fluids, and not just the engine oil, transmission oil, primary oil. How about the fork oil? When was the last time you changed your fork oil? When was the last time you checked to see if your shocks had any damping in them? So, I run high performance shock absorbers on nearly all of my bikes that are rebuildable. But even if you have stock shock absorbers that are not rebuildable, you want to check and make sure that they're actually absorbing the shock, not just spring, but you have compression damping and rebound damping. And so if you have worn out parts, replace them. Check your rotors if rotors are out of round. I just inspected a guy's bike earlier this week, and his front brake rotors were warped. So replace the rotors. And when you replace the rotors, what else do you have to replace? Every time, the pads. They have to be replaced as a set. So that's the tech tip. Clean your bike. You don't have to do Q-tip like I do on these, but go through, clean it. There's a great product by Amsoil, a motorcycle cleaner. You can get that at amsoil.com. I use it. I love it. There's another product I use called Muck Off. I'll be very careful saying that. It's Muck Off. It's pink. It's in a bottle. It's very, very mild. It's great to clean stuff off the bike. It doesn't get the heavy road grime, but it gets most of the dirt and stuff that you accumulate in bugs. And make sure that everything, your shocks are torqued to the right value, that your anything that contains fluid, like brake lines, well, be careful tightening brake lines. You just inspect them, because that is a crush washer situation and that's a one use only. But brake fluid needs to be replaced. Just make sure you go through your bike and your bike is up to par and that you've replaced or repaired anything that got worn out during the long ride of Run for the Wall. That's this week's tech tip with Ted.
Thanks, Boots.
Yeah.
All right. Before we wrap this episode up, we do have a listener letter.
Oh, yeah.
And yeah, we do. So make sure y'all get those letters in as well. All right. Reflections of a Day Rider. Riding in the Vietnam veteran platoon led by White Birch and Rod with our true Marine hero, Lil Big Mike, as tail gunner was truly an honor and privilege. From Williams to Gallup, side by side with my fellow Vietnam veterans, made me reflect upon my 2004 FNG year. Missing were J.R. Franklin, Fingers, Pegleg, Pegger, Jumper, Tanker, Monsoon, Digger, Sergeant Rock, members of F Troop, the late Stephen H. Neal, Paddle Paddle, and many others. I was writing for them. As we paraded through the town of Gallup, the wonderful folks there lined the route, waving and cheering, with some holding pictures of their loved ones lost in war. It brought a flood of tears to my eyes, just as it did each time I traveled with Run for the Wall. The Navajo Nation truly loved their warriors. I was pleased to see Sandra and Jackie McKinney. Jackie was an RG for many years on the Central Route. Sandra was the Run for the Wall newsletter editor and published wonderful stories and photos of our Run for the Wall experiences. Both Sandra and Jackie were instrumental in educating the Gallup community about Run for the Wall. Jackie served many years as mayor of Gallup alongside his beautiful, talented First Lady Sandra. They have dedicated over 30 years to promoting and supporting Run for the Wall, a true patriotic couple. Steve Neal was my childhood friend, and we were both U.S. Army Vietnam veterans. Our first year with Run for the Wall was 2004, all the way and again in 2005. We were making plans to go again in 2006, but he died from a heart attack due to exposure from Agent Orange. My most spiritual memory riding with Run for the Wall was in 2006 while riding in memory of the late Stephen H. Hall. Neil. Where did I get Hall from? Neil. I escorted Steve's widow and 3 sons, all Leos. The boys would take turns riding their father's bike in the missing man formation. We were traveling across the Arizona desert when I looked to my right and saw Stephen. He was wearing his black leather jacket and chaps, his blonde hair flowing from his helmet while riding above the ground on his beautiful silver Harley Davidson with a smile on his face. He was giving me a thumbs up. I looked ahead to make sure I was safe with the pack. When I looked again to my right, he was gone. It was such a wonderful experience to see Steve one last time. I had missed him dearly, but knew that he was okay. Knew then that he was okay. Run for the Wall 2025 was a grand experience for me while reflecting on the years past. Perhaps my last time riding with the pack. Vietnam veterans like myself are aging out. It's time for our younger veterans and patriots to take over. Whether or not the name and route remains the same, I will always be grateful for the healing, friendships, and memories Run for the Wall has provided me. Hopefully next year you'll see me waving from an overpass. Is it May yet? Wayne, Redcatcher, Nichols. That was a beautiful letter. Yeah. I hope to see you from an overpass or driving a support vehicle on one of the routes. You never know what's needed.
Yep.
Okay.
Thanks, Redcatcher. That was really a touching note. I enjoyed that very much.
All right, so we'll go ahead and wrap it up. Yeah, for anyone who's looking for more information on Run for the Wall, you can go to the website www.rftw.us, and just as Redcatcher did, send us your experiences from this year. If you are comfortable being on the podcast and letting your face be seen or voice be heard, in true form, then, send us a request to join us. Otherwise, write to us, but most certainly complete those AARs and subscribe to the YouTube channel.
And enjoy your summer. Get out and
Yeah.
ride.
Yep. We can be reached at P-O-D, at RFTW.US. So until next time, how far are we going?
All
All the
the
way.
way.
Bye, y'all.
See ya.